I don't know why Austan Goolsbee is on the program again. He was on Hannity one night. He's the former policy advisor and chairman of the President Barack Obama's, that is, Council of Economic Advisors. So what was the reaction the last time you went on with me on Hannity, the TV show? They probably said, what the hell are you thinking?
Oh, I thought you meant the reaction from you. You were giving me a hard time.
I did not give you a... Well, you deserved it.
Neil Cavuto said you were giving me a hard time, but I didn't mind. I appreciate you having me back.
Well, did anybody at the White House see you on the show?
I don't know. I'm back in Chicago. I don't...
Nobody at the White House...
frequently with them.
No. Are you now at odds with them?
No, not at all. It's just there are rules of when you leave the government, when anyone leaves the government, they are not supposed to call the White House because of anti-lobbying, whatever it is.
Well, all right. So you can't talk to anybody, and you don't want you don't want any legal issues.
Nobody called to complain, but I'm sure they were thinking it.
And you don't care. I kind of, even though I don't like your economic policies, I kind of like that about you.
Yeah, what are you going to do? It's a free country. Thank goodness.
Well, you know what? Thank goodness is right, and I'm glad you're out there, expressing your views. Look, let me ask you this. I want to play a cut of you, because we've heard one excuse after the other from the White House about the economy. Now, remember, the president, his administration was out there saying unemployment wouldn't go above 8%. He was going to cut the deficit.
Yeah, no, that's a little misleading. But
well, actually, it's not. They did say that.
Yeah, of course it is. Look, when they made
Christina Romer said it.
When they made the 8% prediction, that was the same prediction being made by everyone. You forget the other half of the thing, which is it said if you did nothing, the rate would go to 8.9%, and it was already above that before the first dollar of stimulus even went out.
But the president got what he wanted.
How bad was it?
He got his stimulus. He got his budgets through. He got his health care plan through. He had a Democratic Congress for 2 years. And now the president, and frankly, you've joined in this chorus of blaming anybody and everybody for the failure of this economy to turn around. And I find it amazing. I've never seen such blame in my life. I think the president, frankly, needs to man up a little bit, put his pants on, sit down at the table, and take responsibility for his decisions.
Well, look, what I have said... I hope it's what I've said. If you're going to play a clip of me, hopefully I won't disagree with what I said. What I said in 2010 was we were growing. We were growing 3%. The economy over about 18 months added 2.5 million jobs. That was a start. We lost in the recession that began in 2007. We lost more than 8 million. So we got a long way to come back.
We've lost since Obama's been president, we have a net loss of nearly 3 million jobs.
Yes, but as I said before, and I will reiterate, that's highly misleading because he takes office in the middle of a free fall.
Okay, but he said unemployment...
you should date it from the end of the free fall, which he clearly did not start.
All right, but where's the recovery? He promised... let me give you one example. He said that what Bush did by accumulating $4 trillion in debt over 8 years was un-American. Do you know that? He said it in July 3rd. Unpatriotic. You're right. It's unpatriotic. He said that on July 3rd of 2008, just before the election. And here he is in 2.5 years. He accumulates $4 trillion in new Obama debt. I mean, what if I came on this radio program and I said that about Obama? What do you think would be the reaction of liberals around the country? They'd want me fired.
Yeah, they probably already want you fired, Sean, but yes, they'd be even madder. They'd want you more fired. My only point on that is that was before the financial crisis began, and so there's a big difference between running deficits when times are going okay and running deficits when times are in the dumps, because tax revenue comes... Look, I'm surprised you're not giving the president credit for having the lowest tax rates in 65 years.
Excuse me, wait a minute. We're going to focus on one thing at a time here. Now, the president, you're acting as though he went into this situation surprised. The president campaigned saying, this is the worst economy since the Great Depression.
Yeah, and hang on a second. Even worse than we knew at that time.
Now, listen, you can't get any worse than the Great Depression. This is not the Great Depression. Wait, I'm going to give you a number. What was a worse economy to inherit? 21.5% interest rates, inflation double digits, unemployment double digits. What economy was worse? The Carter to Reagan economy or the Bush to Obama economy?
100% 2008.
100% worse. 100% you're wrong. It was
I am not.
100% it was 79 to 80.
In my world, John, a week ago.
You're a Keynesian economist.
100% it was worse in 2008.
All right, but here's every prediction the president, and you helped design this plan. The president now, this is the list of blame that he has. He blamed kiosks that give us our tickets at airports. He said, well, we have kiosks now. He blamed ATM machines. ATM machines, you've probably been going to them since the 1980s. Wait a minute. He said all of this. I have the cuts.
Productivity growth has come at the expense of people getting hired. Right. That's not a controversial statement. You guys got an excuse.
You got an excuse for everything. So
that's not an excuse. That's just a description.
ATM machines, the Arab Spring, the Japanese tsunami, the Japanese earthquake. It's worse than what we thought. The Republicans won't support me. It's their fault.
No,
they did this.
Look, it's not excuses that he's giving.
That's what he's saying.
For across the board. The question was, why did we slow down in 2011 when we were growing and adding millions of jobs in 2010? It wasn't making any excuse. It's true 2010
so his plan didn't
moderate
work.
Growth, was making progress in manufacturing and across the board.
How can you say that when we didn't create a single job under this president? He's got the worst jobs record of any president in modern time.
Sean, you need to date the job creation from when the free fall ends.
Here's the problem.
You can't date it from the middle of the free fall, which is what you're doing.
When does he was elected? When does he take responsibility? Can you give me a date?
The losses that you're describing were 5 million jobs lost of the 8 million lost in the recession. He comes in the middle of the free fall.
But he said he was
the end of
the middle
recession,
of the free fall.
We have added about 3 million jobs.
So, you know what? He's done such a great job, and by your math, even though we've lost millions of jobs, you're saying it's a net gain of jobs. This is now we're back to created or saved jobs. All right, here's my question.
No, not created or saved. I'm saying there's a difference between going down 8 and back up 3 than just
the only job creation
going down 5, and you're describing that as going down 5.
The only job, since he's been president, we have a net loss of millions of jobs, which is a fact. This is the worst jobs record.
Sean, this is like
you're repeating yourself.
Took your TV up to the roof, dropped it off the roof, and said, "Well, when I last saw it, it looked fine."
All right, but this president said he would fix it.
In the middle of the TV falling.
But he said he'd fix it.
We should date it from once it hit the ground, not from where he takes over.
He's been elected now 3 years, nearly 3 years, to fix the problem that he said he would fix, that he inherited the worst economy since the Great Depression. It's worse than what we thought. It's kiosks, it's ATM machines, it's the Arab Spring, it's the tsunami, it's Republicans, it's the earthquake. Now, let me ask you a question. Give me a date when Obama gets full responsibility for the economy, because even he said if he doesn't turn this economy around, he'll be a one-term president. When can we blame him?
And I believe the president has to be responsible for addressing the economic problem.
Wait a minute. How about fixing the problem, not addressing it?
You're mixing two different time periods. One is 2009, one is 2011.
But does he have to fix it? Do things have to get better for him to get reelected? He said, all right, how much better? How much better?
We got to ask the voters that, and it depends what's compared to what. That's one of the central questions of economics. But I think it's got to get better.
All right. Now I have another question. Do you think any of these things, these excuses I brought up, kiosks...
You keep combining and saying excuses.
Do you think the Arab Spring really had an impact on our economy?
It's just a description. Why did growth slow down from 2010 to 2011?
Do you think the Arab Spring really had a big impact on job creation in America?
Yes, it drove the price of gas to over $4 a gallon.
Well, why don't we drill here? Why don't we drill in America? Canada had a recession in 2009. Guess what? They're out of it. They drilled their way out of it.
Look at the unemployment. Financial crisis.
Look at the recession, but look at the unemployment.
But no financial crisis.
What's the unemployment rate in North Dakota where they just started drilling? Do you know?
It's like 3.3 or
3.5.
Yeah.
3.5%.
That's pretty good. I was right around that.
You said you're bragging about how great an economist you were. You just got lucky.
What ain't lucky? I deal only in fact, Sean.
Yeah.
And so if it's a fact, I'm in the ballpark.
All right. Let me ask you, do you really believe this Keynesian redistributive model? The president's out there using class warfare now for the entire campaign, and he's now gone away from the hope and change thing, which I actually think helped get him elected. I think he was a positive political figure in a well-scripted campaign. I think he had the media hiding some very radical views. As you know, I don't think the president's been sincere in expressing his real radicalism. So I think he's really strongly hard left. And the president comes into office, makes this grand plan, these grand promises, etc., and then all of a sudden nothing works. He gives us $4 trillion in new debt, new Obama debt. There's no hope, no economic signal signs that say we're in a recovery now. Most people are predicting a recession. There's greater fear because of what's going on in Europe now, in spite of the one-day rebound in the market. So, I mean, do you really believe in spread the wealth? Do you believe in the Keynesian economic model?
You're mixing a few things.
No,
I'm giving it direct. I agree with you. The Europe stuff, in my personal opinion, I think people got a little overhyped. They want to believe that everything's fixed in Europe, and I don't think that's even close to fixed. I think we're still going to have some
plenty of fallout
coming from there.
Yep.
The Keynesian, let's think about the Keynesian as opposed to what should high-income tax policy be. The Keynesian stimulus-type arguments. I think the strongest form of that, where the government is the main driver of recovery, was only the appropriate direct response at a moment like 2009, January, when the president comes into office, when it's the worst 6 months that we have ever had in the 64 years of data. There wasn't an alternative to rely on tax cuts or incentives to get the private sector to do it because the private sector was in free fall.
You know, we're borrowing all this money, and here's the answer. I would argue to you Reagan inherited a far worse economy. Reagan had 21.5% interest rates. Reagan had double-digit inflation. He had unemployment in double digits. The worst, and you talk about a malaise. Wait a minute, the misery index, which we're now adding up under Obama, was worse when he inherited the economy. Reagan dropped the top marginal rates over his presidency from 70 to 28% by the time he finished the 84-85 cuts. 70 to 28%. He did cut some loopholes out. Granted, I think that's a good idea. I don't believe in Solyndra, SunPower, or Finnish car companies, electric car companies should be getting a penny in government spending. And you know what? We created 21 million new jobs in 8 years. We went from the worst economy to the... Hang on, we went from the worst economy when Reagan took office.
You're conflating a bunch of years.
Wait a minute.
When Reagan takes office...
21.5% inflation, interest rates, out of control.
When Reagan takes office... And I'm not taking away from the 80s expansion. It was a great expansion in U.S. history. But let's remember, it was a mild recession in the 1980 recession. It was a deep, savage recession in 1982, well into the Reagan years.
But the point is,
when we have the rapid rebound, the top marginal rate was 50%. For 3/4 of Reagan's term, the top rate was 50%. So we are clearly capable of growing.
Reagan dropped taxes in the beginning.
The tax rate is well above what you're saying would destroy the economy. I just think the data doesn't support that.
Followed by the 84-85 cuts, brought the top marginal rates from 70 to 28%.
No, the 1986 Act is what brings down the top rate to 28%.
86, but it was throughout his presidency.
50%.
Yeah, but he did, when he took over, it was 70%, and he jump-started the economy by giving back more money, and he also ended burdensome regulation, which we haven't done.
Look, as I said before, if we identify the regulations that are having an impact on jobs, we should do that. Let's find ways to streamline. Now, I don't think that's the main thing that slowed job creation. I do think it's gas prices, Japan's impact on manufacturing in Europe. I think those three things rather than regulation, because you see the same hesitancy on the part of businesses in other countries where they haven't done any of that regulation. So I think that's somewhat hard to explain with your view of how it goes.
All right, I'm going to give you the last word, and we appreciate you being with us.
I'll see you later, Sean.
All right, Austan Goolsbee. Well, he comes on the program. I mean, I give him a lot of credit. All right.